What extremely rare thing did you witness in person? An airborne decapitation. At an air show as a kid, 30ish years ago, they were doing a skydiving trick where 2 divers spiraled downward, then 2 planes spiraled around them downward. One of the planes hit a skydiver, killing him. Last air show I ever went to. Holy crap, that's terrifying. I witnessed the effects of the coronal mass ejection in March 1989. I was driving home on the west end of Prince Edward Island, Canada. There was plenty of snow on the ground still. I stopped at a stop sign on a slight rise of a hill, and while stopped I noticed the snow was glittering in weird, very vibrant colors. This slight rise was in an area with no trees in sight. I could see the horizon 360 degrees. From the north horizon I noticed a waterfall of color flowing across the night sky from north to south. It flowed quickly like a fast flowing river, and it encompassed the entire sky from horizon to horizon. It was absolutely astonishing. It lasted hours and I watched it for quite a few of them. Even with today's CGI I have not seen anything that compares to that night. I witnessed my buddy hit a hole-in-one on a par 4. Dude had never played golf minus frequent driving range visits and was having a horrific day before it. Happy Gilmore accomplished that featuring no more than an hour ago. I saw a wheel come loose off a van as it attempted a right-hand turn. The wheel rolled through traffic into the open bay of a tire store across the street. 1 in a million odds. I was on a train and nobody else in the train car saw it happen. May you imagine if the tire store tried to sell the tire back to the owner. In South Africa thunderstorms are quite common, but they were always the usual sheet or fork lightning, nothing special. The one time there were these strange looking storm clouds very high up above us, much higher than regular storm thunder clouds, and the lightning was these slow moving bolts. Think of a short laser beam of lightning shooting between these clouds. It was the wackiest thing I ever saw. Saw Bud Dwyer, a Philly politician, kill himself live on the noon news. I was wondering why he had a paper lunch bag on the podium with him and then he pulled a gun out of it and shot himself in the head. This was mine, too. It was a snow day, so my mom didn't teach, and we were all home. My mom was peeved because she was in the kitchen and didn't see it, but my siblings and I were in the living room and did. 1996 Maldives. I am sat in the bar, alone drinking a cocktail and enjoying the view over the flat calm lagoon. The bar juts out into the lagoon, so it is surrounded by water apart from a little bit joining it to the island. Suddenly a small fish jumps out of the water, then it jumps again but higher, and then a third time a little higher still. It takes the fourth jump at about 90 degrees to the other 3, and then a frick off big fish with teeth and everything jumps out of the water and catches it in the air. Then the lagoon went back to flat calm. There's always a bigger fish. Saw a manta ray leap out of the water and over a family playing in the water just off the coast of South Carolina. It didn't make a sound or as much as a splash. I was pretty young but remember it as clear as yesterday. One of the most beautiful things I have ever witnessed. Also quite amazing how big those things are. That sounds extremely cool and sort of funny. Flying to Reno back in the 90s, there was this awesome comet that turned out to have a bigger display than people predicted. I forget which comet it was, winter of 96 or 97. Anyway, looked out the window, clear sky, full moon lighting up the mountains, and this big butt comet hanging below the moon. It was awesome. Hale-Bopp comet probably. I remember seeing it and it was awesome. Also famous for being the inspiration for the Heaven's Gate cult mass suicide. Fire rainbows are pretty rare, mostly just drenching a corner of a cloud in colors. One day at an air show, my dad and I as well as about 50 other people witnessed the most extravagant color show I've ever seen. The fire rainbows were in half the sky. It was the most beautiful natural event I've ever seen. July 2011. I say to my wife the International Space Station is going over tonight, it's a clear sky, and we agree to pop out to the country where there is less light pollution and take the kids who are 12 and 8. We park in a field gate and the youngest boy sees it first. We watch and it goes overhead, and then splits in two. We watch it, I am thinking has it broken up or something. The two parts slowly move apart. We are puzzled. I drive home and thinking any disaster would be on the news. So I watched that. Turns out, the final shuttle mission had just been completed and we had watched Shuttle Atlantis depart the ISS for the final time. Now that's crazy cool. Halley's Comet in 1986. Lots of people saw it, but it is still rare. 11-year-old me took a tent and camped out by a local dam with friends. Clear night and got a great look at it. This reminds me of a comic I saw. The first panel is Halley's Comet and a small child saying hello Halley's Comet. The second panel is Halley's Comet and an old man saying hello Halley's Comet. The third panel is just Halley's Comet. And that's how I was introduced to existential dread. I was there when the German crews were tearing down the last part of the Berlin Wall that was to be removed. It was the double wall section near the depel-using area. We followed along and busted some chunks off and picked up pieces to take home. I saw someone drive off with the nozzle from the gas pump. It triggered the fire suppression system and everything looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man exploded. In 1974 I was living in Delray Beach and I was hanging out at the back door looking out talking to my sister who lived in Illinois. All of a sudden there was a huge ball of fire in the sky and I told her I thought an airplane had just exploded over the West Palm Beach airport. Later watching the news I learned that it was a meteor that had fallen into Lake Okeechobee. Whoa, your voice must carry. My grandfather took me to the hockey game where Buffalo Sabres goalie Clint Malarchuk had his carotid artery cut and his jugular vein partially sliced by an errant hockey skate. He was bleeding out on the ice in front of our eyes. The Sabres trainer, who had been a US Army combat medic in Vietnam, knew to reach in the wound and pinch off the artery to save his life. I remember watching that on TV. It was so quick nobody realized what happened at first. It's so crazy he survived, although I think I remember reading an article about how he ended up with severe PTSD and his life derailed for a while. I was sitting at an outdoor bar and watch a fly buzzing around just drop dead all of a sudden and land next to me. I touched it with my finger to see if it would move a leg or something, but it was 100% dead. One time I saw a grasshopper just keel over and die. Then I realized how rare dying of old age must be in the insect world. I lived on a sailboat off of Mexico. One day this huge item floated under the water. It was longer than the 44-foot sailboat. Then it breathed and we could tell what it was. It was a mom and baby blue whale. They kinda hung out near us. I think mom was explaining what a boat was. She was warning him to never touch a boat. I was swimming in the Pacific when 4 dolphins swam up to me, danced in circles, and swam between my legs. When they got close again I noticed one of the 4 looked more like a baby orca. That was a bright indigo color with a very tall dorsal fin. It barely looked real. I pet them all and they swam off to play in the waves. It was the most magical moment of my life. I didn't know this, but dolphins are social and curious as crap. We had a party on a boat and in my country there's a bunch of dolphins. They legit just watch you and follow you around. It's super strange. They're like people. Ball of lightning. God, that crap is bizarre. I was 14 and I just saw it going down some train tracks. After it disappeared there was this loud boom and I'm not sure if it exploded or made contact with something or someone. My friend and I have the same birthday. One day at work, it was a Friday, we got on an elevator. There were 3 other guys on it. One says to the others, big day tomorrow. I asked what the occasion was. The guy say, it's our birthday tomorrow. All 3 of us. I said, crazy man, but you know tomorrow is my birthday and my friend's birthday as well. We all got our DLs out and compared and yup. 5 semi-random guys on an elevator all had the same birthday. I think the odds are 1/365, 4 or 117, 8b if the fact that it was the next day isn't significant. No frickin' way. My first trip to Vegas. I was at the roulette wheel. I know guy walks up to the table and puts something like $500 on green. Turns to me and says green's going to hit. You should bet on it. I don't. The ball drops and hits green. Dude says let it ride. I still don't bet green. Ball drops and it hits green the second time in a row. Guy cashes out and leaves the table. I leave too, but I'm feeling really stupid by then. I saw a mountain lion when I was 5 walking through my grandma's backyard. She lives in Connecticut and supposedly they were considered extinct in that area in the 90s. This was in the Ninides, by the way. When I was 8, I saw another 8-year-old follow this older fat dude cross the apartment complex looking for his lost dog. I came up to her and told her that there's something going on with him and that he told another person earlier that he lost his cat and now he's saying he lost his dog, and I told her that we both need to get away from him, but she said that she's going to keep helping him, and I said okay and left. I got on the swing set and watched both of them disappear around the corner of a building. The very next day there was a knock at my apartment door and it was 2 officers. They were going door to door asking about the disappearance of a little girl, and I told them what I knew. A week later there was caution tape all over her apartment door. She was murdered. I was the very last person to talk to her. On vacation with my parents in 1969, we saw the water flow at the American side of Niagara Falls stopped, bone dry and with boulders bigger than houses. We went to Niagara Falls for the first time that year and saw the bare rocks. We weren't there for the shutdown, though. It was weird, like we were seeing something rare, but also our visit felt incomplete. My gramps used to play blackjack on the original NES. One day he tried teaching me how to play. I was 6 or so. I had a face card and a 7. He told me to stay. I hit. Got a 3 and he had a fit. Now he's doubling the pressure on me to stand. Stay at 20. I didn't like the pressure but found his expressions hilarious. He was really into blackjack. So, I hit. Got an ace and he proceeded to pace around the house swearing about how lucky I was. Best time ever. Friend of mine playing 21 and Red Dead Redemption. Had never played before, got 20, hit it and got an ace. I did the same thing as your gramps. My older cousin was teaching me and my younger cousin how to play poker. My younger cousin had 4 out of 5 cards for a royal straight flush. My older cousin told him not to draw more cards because the chances of getting a royal straight flush was pretty much impossible and was imploring him not to do it. My younger cousin did it anyways and got a freaking royal straight flush. We all lost our minds and laugh about it 15 years later as adults. The odds of this are 1 in 2.5 million. Southbound along a French motorway during a full moon. As I drove further south, the moon gradually segued from blood red to reddish copper to pale gold. So beautiful. I have never seen it before or since, and it will live in my memory as a perfect experience. Jim Thome hitting his 500th home run. Saw someone drop their phone into the tiny gap between the elevator floor and the hallway floor. There was a good 10 seconds of stunned silence before anyone even said anything. The girl's boyfriend immediately started rambling about how they needed to go buy a lottery ticket. She was not as amused by this as he was. We were also on the 20-something floor, so absolutely zero chance of recovering said phone. Same thing happened to my husband with our house keys. On a bus tour in Denali National Park, we came across a pack of 6 wolves in broad daylight, casually walking along. The bus driver said he had been doing this for 30 years and had never seen anything like it. We were supposed to go on the tour the previous day, but my parents lost the tickets. He said the day before it rained and they didn't see a single thing. The Las Vegas Strip completely shut down during COVID. I've never before and will never again see Las Vegas Boulevard looking like a straight up ghost town. While visiting New Zealand, my girlfriend and I saw a key in the parking lot after a hike to a glacier. The bird had landed on someone's Jeep. So cool and so lucky. They do that a lot. They like to rip the rubber off the car windows cause they are cheeky little shoots. They will also steal your stuff. I saw a guy at work, who I wasn't very good friends with, playing with some dice on his desk after a shift, and saw him roll snake eyes 8 times in a row. I was baffled. He seemed like he does it all the time as he had no expression on his face afterwards. This is something you can train yourself to do if you learn how to palm it with both one sides facing it up and then spin them together horizontally. Do it quickly enough and the optical illusion will make you think it's tumbling even though it's not. This is why casinos A. require the dice to hit the inside wall and B. have pyramid bumper around the inside. It forces the dice to tumble. I went on a plane trip in March 2020 right as COVID was beginning in the US. On the last flight into DC, I was the only passenger apart from a flight crew deadheading into Reagan for a flight out. Normally, I am hoping it isn't overbooked. The stewardess did all the pre-flight announcements anyway with a few added snarky comments, which had myself and the crew laughing. On the approach to Reagan, the deadheading captain talked myself and the stewardesses through how and why they approach and land the way they do at Reagan. I doubt I will ever have that particular set of circumstances happen again, and I haven't heard of anyone else who was a solo passenger on a regular scheduled commercial flight. Well, several years ago there were some solar flares hitting Earth. I live in southern Maine. It was dark, and my husband drove up and told me to go outside. We lay in the grass and watched a tremendously beautiful light show in the sky. It was like being on acid, which we were not. The sky was just split into beautiful patterns in pink. I have seen the Aurora borealis, and this was it on steroids. Absolutely stunning. Wish we had videoed it, but cell phones did not have good cameras. Our neighbor was outside as well. I saw the ones in '87 that took down the power grids in Quebec. It was like liquid color pouring down the dome of the sky. I've seen them plenty of times since, but never again one so beautiful and absolutely everywhere in the sky. First McDonald's opening in Moscow. McDonald's wasn't anything special in my country, and I was a little kid. We were in Moscow because of my dad's work. He said, "Oh BTW, do you guys want McDonald's for dinner tonight? One's just opening here today." We thought it might be busy, but we weren't ready for the insanity. The line in front of it spanned several neighborhoods and it was on the news and everything. We obviously gave up on it immediately. As a little kid looking forward to some fries and chicken nuggets, I was super disappointed. As an actual old person now, I am amazed that I got to see it. It was such a marked moment of communist Russia rushing us into the transition into capitalism. I listened to an interview with a journalist who moved to Moscow in 1987 or so, just before the collapse. She said that it was very common to see a massive line and ask what they were queuing for, and the people in the queue would have no idea. Crap was just so scarce that if you saw people lining up, the sensible thing to do is to join the line. I once rolled up to a stoplight, and when I looked to the right I saw a man sucking on a woman's toes while in the driver's seat of his car. He made eye contact with me and dropped the foot. Once the light was green he just sped off. IDK how rare that is, but I've never seen anything like that before. I've seen more than a couple BJs in cars. I always feel like I'm witnessing something special. I've seen a great white shark in an aquarium. It was at Monterey Bay Aquarium more than a decade ago. This was the longest and most successful time a great white was held in captivity. For those who don't know, they usually die very quickly in captivity because they are accustomed to roaming the ocean and using a great amount of space to swim. They get depression in captivity, and so there has only been a handful of times they've ever been on public display. Yeah, that's crazy. They do not last long in captivity at all. In high school 30 years ago, a girl asked to borrow a pencil. Everyone knows you don't throw someone a pencil. I wanted to be extremely careful, so I more tossed it. It took a bad bounce on the chair ceramic desk combo and stuck dead in her eyeball. So yeah, I saw a pencil get stuck in an eyeball. And every single elementary school teacher was in that room too, apparently. I saw the most recent transit of Venus in 2012. I'm in the UK, so we had less than an hour between sunrise and the end of the spectacle. Me and my dad woke up at 4 in the morning and it was cloudy, but he still took me up to the Brecon Beacons to meet up with my stargazing buddies to try and catch a glimpse. It was wall-to-wall cloud cover, but by an amazing stroke of luck the sun appeared through a crack in the clouds and we were able to see it. I even got photos. Next transit won't be until 2117, so it was truly once in a lifetime. When I was a kiddo, about 7-8, was staying at my grandparents' house. They lived out in the boonies. Paw used to joke they didn't get the Grand Ole Opry until Sunday night. It played on the radio Sat night. They're sitting on the porch watching us chase lightning bugs or something, and this light comes up behind the house, then over the house, lighting everything up like it was daylight. No noise. We just stand there trying to figure out what the light was from. It moved across the yard, crossed the road, then rose over the tree line and disappeared. Then there was a loud boom of thunder and everything shook. We screamed and ran into the house. It started raining really hard suddenly. They told us kids it was ball lightning preceding a thunderstorm. I always thought it was a UFO, but adults blamed the ET movie for me thinking that. It isn't extremely rare in general, though I suppose it is for any given location, a total eclipse of the sun. It's kind of weird because we all know what it looks like, but it's still really amazing to see it in person. If you have the chance, make an effort to get to where the eclipse is 100%. Even 99% isn't remotely similar. During the last total eclipse, before totality, I was looking through my spotting scope, with the filter, at the sun. Something crossed by the sun really fast but it looked artificial. Turns out I witnessed the ISS cross in front of the sun during a total eclipse. I broke up with my longtime girlfriend in 2003 and started traveling. In 2010 I was back in the States doing a contract in a city and had a dream where I saw my old black Labrador that we had together back in 2003. In this dream I was in a white room, and I got down on my knee and called her name. She scampered into the room past me. I called her again by name. She turned and came to me, except her fur was now white but had black roots. Her eyes were sewn shut, and I kissed her face. This dream reoccurred 4 nights in a row. On Friday I wrote my ex an email who I had not spoken to in 7 years and told her the dream. She wrote me back and told me that our dog had fought cancer and had to be put down on the first night I saw her in my dream, and that she thought our dog always wondered what happened to me, and was coming to me in my dreams. I sat on the edge of the bed in that hotel and wailed for 30 minutes. I saw my dad hit a pop fly foul ball in a baseball game that went over the fence, into the road, and down the smokestack of a passing semi-truck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.